All right, welcome back to the Black Male Archives podcast. I am your host, Rodney Freeman, and we have with us Kyle Hearns. Sir, how are you doing today?
I'm excellent. Thank you, Rodney. How are you today?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And thank you so much for being on here. We had the chance to
My pleasure.
connect. Yeah. We had a chance to connect when we were when I was over there at your branch, West
Okay.
Boulevard in Charlotte, North
Right.
Carolina. And I got the opportunity to learn about you and your grandfather. So before we get into that, though, I want
Okay.
the listeners to kind of hear about your story and where you're from before we talk about your grandfather.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Lansing, Michigan. Um, that's where pretty much I got my start in libraries. I started off in actually high school, just volunteering in my high school library, and it was kind of by force, not by choice, but it was an opportunity for me to kind of grasp or see how libraries actually operate. And I would do that, after school, a few days out of the week. And then I moved into working at the local community college where my father was working at the time. I was a work study student. So I started there as like a page. I think the title is that kind of gets lost in when you look at library positions. But at that time, it was a page, and I just worked my way through my courses as a page. There again, learning the difference between academic versus a public library. And then when I went to college, I went to UNC Charlotte, where I also worked in the library system on that campus. And same thing kind of did, was a work study student, learning about the different ways that they operated. It was on a much larger scale at UNC Charlotte than it was in the community college, but it was a great opportunity for me to kind of just see how they had all the pieces in place. And then, of course, over time, just worked at various locations. At one time, I was a branch supervisor for a local library system here in North Carolina. I did that for 4 years. And now I'm currently at a bigger library in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so where I'm currently finishing up my MLIS, which will be completed in May. And so it's pretty much come full circle in my life. I never thought that I would be sitting here speaking about the importance of libraries in my life and in the lives of others.
Yeah.
That's just how things work in life. Sometimes you don't really realize that you are already on your path at an early age. So I'm excited, for what's to take place in the future for me, and how I can help others, along their paths. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm excited for you, man, because as a fellow librarian, I feel like our work has, especially with the state of the world that we're in
Yeah.
today, with a lot of stuff going on with book bannings and censorship, and the importance of librarians, and especially librarians of color.
Exactly.
We, I feel like, are on the forefront when it comes to making sure people can have continued access to African American material,
Right.
LGBTQ material, because and that's a whole nother topic that we can
Right.
probably go
Right.
down. But I again, like I said, I'm glad, and I'm happy to see that you are getting your MLS and going to be in this information game.
Right. Right.
But we okay. So I met you, and was given a talk, and I got a chance to hear about your story, and I felt like the
Right.
listeners really needed to learn about your story and your grandfather's story. So can you tell the listeners about your grandfather? And I think they're gonna really enjoy this story, because it's yeah. Go ahead.
So my grandfather on my mother's side was a butler in the White House. And growing up, at that time, I didn't really see the significance in that. It kind of just went over my head. I was young when well, actually, I wasn't even born when he was working there. But when I was born, he passed when I was young. But his story was something that was told to me when I was young. But I just didn't see at that time the significance in how important that was. But yes, he was a butler in the White House uh, through several administrations. I can't name all the ones he was a part of, but I do recall that the movie The Butler was based upon his best friend who played Forrest Whitaker. He played the role of Forrest Whitaker, was his best friend. And he was the one that was instrumental in making sure that my grandfather was allowed to be able to work at the White House. And so I have some family members, aunts on that side of the family, who have entrusted me with some of the memorabilia and the artifacts that he had or has and collected during that time when he was in the White House. So now that I'm older and I kind of realize the importance of our history and our legacy and those things, it gives me a sense of pride. It gives me a sense of accomplishment, knowing that you can accomplish what you set out to do. And something to cherish. There's something that a lot of people are not able to say that they have. And I just know that, as we know right now, just being able to get clearance in certain arenas in society is a hard thing. So I can imagine back then, during the 60s, early 60s, what it would have taken to be able to get the clearance just to be able to set foot on the White House greens. So again, yeah, he was a great man. Like I said, I wish I would have had more time to get to really know him.
Yeah.
But the stories that my father tells me about him and how he just adored me, because I was the first boy, so he adored me, and just how he could, just things that he learned from being in the White House, and the information that he was privy to that he couldn't come home and share. Being in some of those rooms where meetings were taking place that were deciding major issues within the country. He was privy to that information and had to, keep the secrecy with it. And so, it's just like I said, I'm learning more as I get older, and like I said, I'm absorbing it all in. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk to you too, because I feel like, one, you have this story that basically is giving you this sense of pride about your family history. How
Right.
can others? How do you suggest others kind of, capture their story and be able to take kind of pride in their family history? I mean, what do you recommend that they do, like, as far as like saving them the photographs and the memorabilia?
Right.
What are your recommendations?
For me, I'm still in the early phases of trying to come up with a way of curating all of the documents and memorabilia that I have. But what I would say is, if you could get like a safety deposit box in your local bank or credit union, that's a good option if you're not able right now to do digital. Or like even a safe that is, fireproof, waterproof, damp, those types of things.
Yeah.
And just to accept your history, accept it, whether the good or bad, and to know that don't take it lightly. I mean, we all have a story. We all have something that is memorable or that we should cherish.
Yeah.
And like I said, just accept it and embrace it. I think those are the main things. And just to try to find out as much as you can, and don't be afraid to ask and reach back to those elders in your family to because that's the wealth of knowledge. And I'll be honest, when I was coming up, of course, you don't want to go over to when a family reunion, you don't want to go into that little section where all the aunties and uncles are. But that's, to me, is where we're losing so much information, because we're not going and accessing that type of knowledge and information. So take advantage of it, because once it's gone, it's gone.
So okay, so what do you think then about what's going on with how some people and some groups are trying to essentially, I don't know, I want to use their own words, quote unquote, ban Black history or take it out of schools. And then I'm talking to you,
Yeah.
who is a direct descendant of a butler who was in a White House, who has all
Right.
these stories and these memories. And it just, it fascinates me because I think about, like, what if we couldn't, learn about your grandfather's story? What if we
Right.
were banned, if we were deemed
Exactly.
criminals to learn to? So I just want to get your thoughts about the current state.
And that is a great question, because it goes back to like wanting to know. So for me, it became a part of, like, once I was told this, wanting to know more about it,
Yeah.
wanting to at that time, my mother was, after my grandmother passed, she was going through her childhood home and getting everything ready for the estate sale. And
Hmm.
so it was at that moment that she was finding old receipts and old documents that my grandparents had,
Hmm.
and it was like what to do with them. She was pressed for time.
Hmm.
But I told her, I said, keep what you can. I know you can't keep everything, but keep what you can, and I will take what you have. That way, we'll have somebody in our family to be able to carry on this information. And
Yeah.
so, when it comes to the banning of trying to ban our history, they can do all they want to in at the public side, but that's up to us to keep it for our personal family side, so
Yep.
that they can deny it. Like, they can deny it as much as they want to in the classrooms and in the books, but if you have this contextual and the artifacts, the actual
Hmm.
hard copy of these artifacts, they can't deny
Hmm.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like you said, being proud of that and realizing the importance of it, I think, is a key factor. You have to realize the importance of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm so, I know I'm definitely on the same page with you.
yeah,
Like, we all have to become like family historians, all of
we
us,
have to.
especially African Americans, people of color in general.
Right.
With the current state that we're in, as far as censorship and book bannings, and I feel like, or let me ask your opinion on this. I
Right.
feel like the way to get these younger kids involved is like if we merge technology with history. And I'm just
You, you
I
hit
get
you,
excited about the tech and the
right.
history stuff, but what are your thoughts around that? What are your thoughts dealing with?
You're nailing it. I think that is the key. That, to me, is primarily the only way that we can reach this next generation. And
Mhm.
it wasn't brought to my attention until actually when we had our digital witness program that you attended, where you were a presenter, where we talked about the fact that I believe Gen Z
Mhm.
was born into a digital world.
Yep.
So their concept of analog or hard copy is null and void. They can't understand that. So
Yeah.
it is up to us to be able to engage them on their level. And I
Yeah.
think I think that's important. Like, we can't try to force feed them the way we were taught,
Yeah.
because it just doesn't resonate with them. We have to teach them on their level what they're comfortable with, and which a lot of them are comfortable with technology.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate enough to be able to come in both analog and digital, so we have best of both worlds. But
Yeah.
for them, we can't get mad at them if they don't gravitate towards um, like a book. For example, like
Mhm.
a lot of them are quick to pick up a tablet, and we're
Mhm.
like, oh, no, 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 you need to get a book. But we
Mhm.
can't we can't come down on them, because their concept of a book is, hey, it's on my tablet, it's on my phone,
Right.
it's on my
Right.
Chromebook. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
reaching
Man,
them where they are. Yep.
yeah, that is so true, man. And I'm
Yep.
glad you hit on that point because Sometimes hey, I am one of those older folks that do get frustrated with my daughter. And I'm
Yeah.
like, look, can you? And she's like, Dad, it's right here. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess. And
It's
you're
hard.
right.
Yeah.
We do have to meet them where they're at, and to kind of get them involved. And I I want to ask you this before we go for librarianship,
Hmm.
and being a black man in librarianship, which is not that many of us
Right.
that are in librarianship.
Yeah.
Um, what do you see? Why is it important for us to be represented in this profession? And then what do you want to? Um, I guess what do you want to other young black men, black girls who want to get into librarianship? What are your recommendations? And I know that you're at this stage where you're getting your MLS, but you've been in the library world for a little bit.
Right.
What do you want to impart with them if they would like to become a librarian? Why is it important?
It's important for me for the fact that you just mentioned that we are as black men and black male librarians, we are, I want to say, less than 3% of this profession.
Yeah.
So of course, like you mentioned, representation is key. And if you can impart upon a young black boy as they walk into a library that, hey, I'm cool. I can talk to you on your level. I can show you how to get to where you want to go. We are the gatekeepers of information, and
Mhm.
that wasn't brought to me until I attended a leadership institute with the BCALA, and that was one of the um, key points that they mentioned during this particular over the weekend. It was that we are the gatekeepers, and that's gotten lost over time. Of course, you know how a lot of things have gotten lost, but it's important for us as new librarians to keep that message echoing out into our community, to let them know, like, there are options for you. You don't have to go the route that someone else you may see. Of course, we are known for certain things, entertainment,
Mhm.
sports.
Mhm.
But we're not known for um, uh, information professionals or um, I believe when I read an article about you, you were saying how wanted to be a lawyer at one point, and
Yep.
it wasn't until you started working in libraries that you saw
Yep.
everything that you were trying to accomplish. You had it right in front of you. So,
Yep.
just there's a wealth of opportunities that are available, but we
Yeah.
just have to be willing to walk that path and show young black boys and girls that here's an opportunity for you. Have you ever thought about libraries?
Mhm.
Because to me, that's your foundation. You learn your study habits. You learn how to do research, how to gather information through
Yep.
libraries.
Yep. Yep.
That's the foundation, like I said, for you to be able to move forward in anything. When you get to college, if you haven't developed good study habits, and I have to admit, when I went to undergrad, I had some bad study habits, and it reflected in my GPA. But as I got older, I realized how to organize myself and prioritize. But you
Mhm.
get those foundations for
Yeah.
me at a library, at your local library.
Right.
You meet so many people who will impart things on you. They will show you things. They will talk to you. Yeah. So that to me is what's important, the advocacy for it, getting out here, letting people know in the community, hey, stop by your local library. There's a ton of resources available for you if you just
Yeah.
walk through the doors.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, no, you hit it right on the head. It's and now that I think about everything in perspective,
Right.
you need information before you need money.
You do. Right. 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 Because it does
You
no
know,
good if you have the money and you don't know what to
exactly.
do with it. You,
You
you
don't
got
know
to
what to
have.
do with it.
Right.
Exactly. You need information.
Exactly.
Information is really the currency.
It is.
And you know, and that is the reason why I feel like I am so um enraged by people banning information.
Right.
Books is just a medium. I'm going to say
Exactly.
they're banning information,
And
and you know,
information.
and that really gets to me, because I understand that when you ban information, you can't proceed. You know, if you don't
Wow.
have access to the information, like one of the things that I recall watching not the documentary, but the hidden figures, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
then when she was a computer scientist, and she was trying to learn more about the computers, and she went to the library,
Right.
and the book was on the white section,
Right.
and she
Yeah.
couldn't have access to it.
And have access to
And
it.
and so that's why I'm really like, just I'm baffled by people wanting to ban information so others can better themselves, right? But I understand that it's all a part
It's
of.
it's a part of a bigger structure. And we know,
Exactly.
like, just for example, the fact that you have a lot of um young brothers and young brown and black brothers who are incarcerated. And so
Hmm.
one of the things they talk about is that during their rehabilitation, the access to the information is what they need.
Yeah.
Not so much, just being able to, in a lot of these correctional facilities don't have um libraries, or even
Hmm.
like you said, the ability for the inmate to be able to get this information.
Right.
A lot of them want to do research on their case, find
Right.
out, they went, it was such a blur to them when they were going through the process, through the trial, that they now looking back and they were like, well, wait a minute, what were they saying?
Right.
What were they saying about me that, I didn't really understand?
Right.
So yeah, it's important. It's very
Yeah.
important. And I think that we have to keep encouraging the younger generation to see the importance, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man. Man, this is powerful conversation, and I can continue to go at this. We can go at this for another couple of hours. But before we get out of here, what other projects are you working on, sir, that you want the listeners to know about?
currently I'm working on a proposal for a $10,000 grant to bring to my library branch. I applied for the Radical Librarianship Institute out of California. I was one of 25 that was selected to go into the next phase of it. And so it's just I'm presenting a proposal to bring um, um, uh, a male, I guess not, I'm going to say mentorship, but it's going to be a program to focus on Black fathers, or fathers of color, where we are providing resources, we're providing the information, we're helping them to be involved in the child's life. Um, we know that in our community, um, that is a issue, with fathers being present, and there's nothing that can deny the fact, the power of a father in the home. Um, and so whether that be for the father being, as we were talking earlier, incarcerated and being released, how can he come back and then now be actively involved with his child or his children? Um, so we're going to just kind of focus on different, ways to do that, whether it's through counseling to kind of, we know that mental health is a big factor.
Mhm.
Uh, job, being placed in a job that can provide for your family, because that also then plays on your mental health. If you feel like you can't provide for your family, you're more likely to, want to, want to walk away from the situation. Um, and just engaging activities, whether it just be hiking.
Mhm.
Um, I recently read an article where, actually, I saw it on, I believe, ABC, Good Morning America, where a group out of California is called Black Men Hike.
Mhm. Mhm.
Talk about just the impact that being involved with nature, getting outside, and how it affects the whole body, the mental, the physical, the spiritual. So just, providing options for fathers, meeting them where they are. We have another a partnership with Barbershop with Books, where we're going to be going into the Charlotte community. We're going to be picking 10 libraries to put bookshelves, in a 16 curated book collection
Mm-hmm.
for to encourage barbers to encourage their younger clients to
Yeah.
read,
Yeah.
literacy, how we can
Oh, that's awesome.
increase literacy. And we know
Mm-hmm.
that the barbershop is our black country club, our
Mm-hmm.
sanctuary, our place
Mm-hmm.
where we kind of learn the ways to kind of move forward in life. So we're going to be doing that within the next few months. Um, so just trying to impact and show the importance of Black men, and just like with your platform, just in the awareness of Black men and uh, kind of doing away with those stigmas that we are associated with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. That's awesome work, man. And I love that barbershop and books, man, because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do feel like, yeah, when I was in the barbershop the other day, and I was like, this would be a good place to, because you go there for counseling, you go there for information, you go, I
everything.
mean, yeah,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So
The shop is where you get your game. You learn
yep.
how to you build that rapport with your barber. He
Exactly,
he
exactly.
imparts those things on you. So it's very important that, like, there again, we go to where they are. I think a lot of times we get lost in thinking that they should come to us,
Yeah,
but that's not where we have. Sometimes you have to put the feet on the ground, and you have to get
exactly.
out here. You got to hit the pavement.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, I would love to share more with you, share more with you about it, Rodney. So
Yeah,
just be on
yeah.
the
Let's.
lookout, and we'll reach out. I'll reach out to you, and we can talk more about it in depth.
Okay. Okay,
Yep.
awesome, awesome. Okay, well, sir, thank you again for being on this platform. Where can the listeners actually follow you and find you on social media?
So on Facebook is Kyle Hearns. On Instagram is KWest1415. I'm on LinkedIn with the name Kyle Hearns. So yeah, those are the platforms that I kind of mainly I focus on. So yeah, yep.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for being on the Black Male Archives, where we capture, curate, and promote positive stories about Black men, which you are one of. Thank you, sir, for being on the show.
Thank you as well, sir. You have a great platform, and I was yeah. Thank you. Just all I can say. Yeah.
Man, thank
Yep.
you. I appreciate the work
Good
that
to you.
you're doing out in the
Yeah.
community, and we'll actually circle back with you with some of your
Okay.
projects and follow back up with you.
Sounds good.
All right, sir. You have a
All right.
good night.
You as well. Thank you.